Welcome back to the Oblivious Maximus podcast. My voice did something great. Good start. I'm Aaron, one of your hosts.
I'm Ben. I'm your other host. How you going?
Great, Ben. Today we have Ian. Yeah, welcome.
What's up?
From Militarie Gun.
It's very weird having having the like monitor there is very
Well, I realized the other day we don't actually have to have it up.
No,
while
we
the pod's
don't.
On, but I think it is good for us to check if it's still.
Yeah,
it's good for you guys. It's bad for me.
I think we've talked about this every podcast, but there have been quite a few people that have sat here and just stared at it the whole time.
Yeah.
But some people.
Well, the delay is varied.
Now that we're doing this, I can see I need to move the camera slightly. This is the first time I've done this on cam, but
Not great radio.
anyway, Ian, as you can see, very professional setup in here.
I'm
Welcome.
loving it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming down. How long have you been in Australia for now?
Been in Australia for a week, I think. Over a week now, maybe 7 or 8 days.
Yep, I've seen you every day for the last 3 days.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been great.
And you're here in Melbourne for 2 more days.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, we canceled some shows.
True.
I was told by a doctor leading into this tour that I should cancel the tour
Really?
and that I should not be singing. They said, "You're such a shit singer. Just stop now." So I was told to cancel the tour, but I was like, no, can't. Got to go to Australia. And so we canceled the first show in the Gold Coast, which probably wouldn't have been good anyway because I hear there's not really people there.
Yeah,
There's people there. They're all just like real estate adjacent moguls and stuff.
Not necessarily the audience we have, you know. They're there,
Not
maybe
the
not
MG
attending
fans.
our shows, you know. And then, we played 2 Brisbane shows, and then we've been in Melbourne since.
This is the longest stop.
Yeah, we were here for 5 days. I've never had that on a tour before, where we're just in a place for 5 days.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with the distance here is like, well, you're here. Where else are you gonna go?
Yeah, well, they booked us places, but it was like, it didn't seem like it was going to go well.
yeah. But also, I mean, now you've had the benefit of just going to a driving range with Duck and our friend Matt.
Yep.
And then today you just played golf with our
We
friend Matt.
just golfed today.
This must be like the most relaxing tour you've done so far.
It is.
Your doctor's been like, I love the tour. We're going to get you out to Australia more.
Yeah. It's funny because we literally went from a European tour where we flew 18 hours to St. Louis to start another tour.
Jeez.
And then went from that to home for 24 hours where I went to the doctor and they said, do not go on tour anymore. And then now to here. So now it's funny because we've just been grinding and grinding and grinding. And now it's I was saying to Aaron that every day is 3 days right now because there's just so much time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's actually really, really refreshing. It's really nice. I walk to a diner every morning and eat.
Great.
Oh, the Operator Diner in the city?
Operation Diner.
Yeah.
Go
The
there every
only
morning.
diner that you found the one American style diner.
of course. I want what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to take you to Pancake Parlor.
Yeah, get you to a real Australian place before you go.
Well, not to gas you up too much, but the voice sounded sick the other night on Tuesday.
I felt good.
I think my housemate and I were both sounds like the record. And it seems like you've really worked on the voice.
Yeah, I had a lot of problems. I mean, I could show you my throat ussy. It's very gross.
Is it the nodules? People talk about the nodules.
So yeah, I have a vocal polyp, and then now the doctor when I just was there was like, oh, you're actually starting to scar your vocal cords because
right.
they're not gonna bend anymore. They're gonna be calloused and not bend right. But either way, when I'm on, I'm on, and I was on for a really long time until we had that crazy travel day from Portugal to St. Louis, Missouri. So I think that it just was a bad timing situation.
Yeah. And so obviously, I feel like when I met you, well, Militarie Gun was obviously already a thing when I met you.
Yeah.
But
No, wait, was it the first time? Was that pre-pandemic that you came?
Yeah. So maybe
that
no.
was not. That when we first met, because Militarie Gun started the day the pandemic started.
Just a perfect timing.
Well, no, it's just literally it was hey, your life is canceled. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the practice space.
Yeah, great.
That was it. I had already wrote the RJC record that needed to happen. And it was I guess I'll do something else with my time. So I started a new band.
But so I think probably that checks out then. So probably when I met you was pre-Militarie Gun. And then you did a lot of Militarie Gun stuff kind of in and out of the, like when the world started opening up, right? Like that was when it was kind of.
That's when, I mean, like I'd been banking things for so long. And then it was like, all right, now we're going to start playing shows. Well, and it was like, because I'm a psycho, I booked a 50 show tour as our first tour.
Is that supporting someone or just like?
No, it was just as DIY. That was a DIY tour. It was a weird thing where like we had, because I was grinding so much, like people were starting to take note. But you know, like, so like in the middle of me booking a 50 show tour, we got a booking agent and I was like, hey, here's all the people I've contacted. You take over.
Well, I guess having that skill from your other bands, like, was it nice to kind of hand that over to someone else? Or was it
was nice. Yeah. I mean, well, cause again, and it was a similar thing where RJC kind of was like growing into a new space at the similar time, that it was like, yeah, I mean, realistically, like I love being DIY. Like I booked shows for over 10 years. Like I booked tours for over 10 years, but ultimately I would so much rather have time to be creative than to be like, I have to track down that fucking kid in Indianapolis that won't respond to me. I think like, I think my time is better served doing something else.
Yeah.
So, I feel really good about that. It was really weird at the time though, cause I was so DIY with everything, and then to like hand it over and have faith is a very scary thing for me.
I bet.
But luckily it seems to have worked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I was going to say is I think like it must be a jarring shift, not only in stuff like that, but then also like doing a band like RJC and then doing a band like this. Like it's a huge shift, not only from an organizational perspective, but from like the music, obviously, and then singing as well.
The singing was a hard adjustment for sure. Yeah. Cause I mean, I sang too hard for, like, I didn't realize that you're just not supposed to just fucking full send 24/7. So you don't just destroy what you have.
Yeah.
I feel like this vocal scare, like currently is going to be like the next step in me being like, I can sing even softer, you know, like,
it's I don't have to Jawbreaker thing where they like went to Europe and he like blew out his voice and stuff and had to have that surgery.
It's hard. I mean, it's like, it's a really weird thing that you just don't think about, you know, like, like when you have to start hitting notes, and when you do that at a full projected voice, like it's very destructive. And
you don't wear in-ears, right?
No, I need to get towards that, but we haven't had the time to rehearse. We're always on tour.
Yeah.
So it's like when
it's a real hard adjustment, like getting into it.
We did one show in Barcelona. We played Primavera, and they had us do this after show where we played in the middle of a room. And I was like, where's the monitors? There goes, there's no monitors. And I was like, what do you mean there's no monitors? And they're like, yeah, every other artist didn't even have instruments. So, you know, like whatever. And so they were like, we have in-ear packs. And I was like, okay. And so like I used an in-ear for like 2 songs and I took it out because like I don't know what's happening. Like fuck this shit.
Oh, wild.
The performance still, we have a recording of it. It sounds good, but I was like, because then at that point I'm going off of the way I can feel my head vibrating.
Yeah, crazy.
Which is like, so you're like, that vibration is the correct vibration, you know? Like,
yeah, that's the right note.
And so
there.
almost sometimes taking it completely away, I'll be better than not, but then it's more likely I blow my voice out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and
it's also a lot of vocal health stuff. We don't have to hang on the vocal health stuff.
Let's get into the nitty gritty. I got a website here, vocalhealth.com. That's our
with a 7-minute sing app, you know.
that Brisbane doctor is going to be sitting there going, I got so many shout outs on this podcast.
Dude, the Brisbane doctor, I think if he knew that video was out, the Gold Coast doctor, he'd be very bummed. 'Cause it'd be like, I don't know if it was legal for me to film that necessarily, but I told him I was filming it.
Yeah.
I didn't say I was going to release it, but I was like, that dude should not be practicing medicine. I'm not gonna say his name.
He had something happening.
He has Parkinson's or something for sure.
Yeah, he was all over the place.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The Gold Coast, like saying Gold Coast something is usually like it's bad. Like say like Gold Coast real estate agent, Gold Coast. You know, it's
Well, he was like, I'd seen Ozzy Osbourne. I've seen like he was like,
my God.
All the heavy hitters.
he was like the doctor in Brisbane when he's too busy, he sends them to me.
I get the offcuts.
It's a good claim to fame to be
Yeah.
the second best at something.
Yeah. Hey, that's something we can't say about most.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'm not second best at anything.
And you're I guess on all that, you're about to get back into RJC stuff. Like how are you gonna make that? Like, are you gonna have MG show one day?
No, they have to be very separated.
We're playing drums too.
Yeah, well, that's a big problem. I have to get home from this tour and relearn how to play drums.
Just blast beat for.
I'm gonna be be doing like hour-long blast beat exercises when I get back. Just me in my practice space alone, just going like slow to fast
To building
for
up.
like an hour, and then like
So you have a new record,
yeah,
which I have now heard.
You've heard.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Tell us about that. It's coming out soon.
Yeah, so I guess
You can't say too much, obviously.
I can't. I mean, I don't know when this comes out. The first single comes out August 6th.
Okay.
So depending, but I guess I probably most people over here don't really know too much about RJC, but it was a project, blast beat hardcore band, power violence band, depending on how pretentious you are with the term, if you consider something to be power violence or not. It was a band that I started because my younger brother got incarcerated when he was 18 years old in the Regional Justice Center. And he was there for a year and a half awaiting sentencing. He did 72 months, which is almost 6 years. And then he got out, and now he sings half the songs. I sing half the songs.
Yeah, that's so sick.
So it's like kind of the culmination of everything that the band started as. And it's called Freedom, Sweet Freedom. And kind of the concept of the record is that really the only freedom is in death. Like, we're still subject to a system, my brother is out of prison, but he is still the subject to a system. He's like, not free at all.
Yeah.
Like, he has a parole officer stopping by the house. He can't leave the city. He can't, like, he has to live with me. He has to until a certain time.
Such a thing, the American justice system, I guess we could do a whole episode on that. But the restrictions it puts on you as a person after that seems like a pretty hard thing to carry for that time afterwards.
Definitely. And I mean, it's something that's, I don't know what the realities of him ever leaving the country are.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting thing that this band had, that band, Regional Justice Center, had caused me to leave the country times. Like, went to Japan for the first time because of it. Will my brother get the same liberties? Like, I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to be a lot harder. They make you jump through more hoops and all that sort of stuff. It's like pretty brutal.
I mean, if anything, though, I had got to been here like 7 times. And those guys been to jail. So
I guess it depends where you want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the other thing too, it's just, even just like extortion going to the States recently, like, it was not easy organizing everything, particularly for, anyone that had a consideration that had something untoward.
Which, at some point we're gonna try to make work, but it's just the timing of how do you do that? And he's on parole right now, so it can't happen. So
you have our show booked.
We have a couple shows booked, but
one announced.
We have one announced, and we're not releasing any music beforehand, but it's going to be like we're going to come out and we're going to do one song without him.
Yeah, right.
So he could see the band.
Yeah, because he's never
seen the band.
Yeah, sick.
And then
has he played in a band like this before?
He's never played in a band. He's never played a show.
This is crazy.
And so we're going to do one song without him.
So he can learn what he needs to do.
No, well, so there's just one song. So we have different dads.
Okay.
And I wrote a song about my biological father called KKK Tattoo. It's an experience he can't sing. It's different.
Sure.
It's something that's the one song where it's like, it's based upon a very lived experience that he doesn't have. And so it's like, we're going to perform that song. That song is 4 minutes. It's the only long enough RJC song to do such a thing. And then we're going to bring him out and he's going to sing the rest of the set.
That's so sick.
So it's going to be, I don't know, very excited.
I'm excited to see the results.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
When did that idea to do that, was that always the intention to have him join the band, or when?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was like, I guess I never knew I thought Crime and Punishment was going to be the last RJC record potentially, and then the pandemic took away all the touring and all that, and then it just kind of was like it was like a very living, breathing thing where I think it was meant to end at every next step,
right?
And then it just didn't. It kept going, and Crime and Punishment happened, which was like, again, like each record has its own themes. Like World of Inconvenience, the first LP, is about the inconvenience of being held accountable for your actions. Like the idea that you're kind of caught in your own way and that it sucks to be told that you suck in some ways. And then Crime and Punishment was like looking at the way that him and I grew up, the same childhood, but two different results. And things that I thought that were important to both of us, and me realizing that like, oh, the things that fucked me up aren't the things that fucked him up. And then like the ways those crop up into your like adult life, and then now doing it with this. So, but like each one I thought was the final statement, where it's like, oh, World of Inconvenience. Yeah. Like it's inconvenience to like, it's just to be like, find out that you do terrible things. And then you're like, oh, the cause and effect. Okay. Like, well, it goes beyond cause and effect. Even after you are self-aware, you still are not free, you know, like, and so who's to say where the project ends, but like, we're very happy with where it's at right now.
Seems like it's nice to have a project which can feel finished and unfinished at different times, where you're not having to force it, where you can go like, oh, okay, I feel like this is a new direction we could go into, or now I feel differently about this.
Yeah. And that's the big thing, is we're not going to do it if it's not necessary. If it's not vital, it's not going to happen. Like it's like my life is so busy that like, if it's not the most important thing, like it just will not exist. And so this was incredibly important to everyone involved in this band. And it's why it ended up happening. It's why we set aside enough time to do it. And that's why it will happen. So,
I mean, the other thing too, as well, is like, he is going to have a completely new experience as well.
Exactly.
So that might inform stuff for him. That means maybe it stops, or maybe it keeps going, or maybe it does whatever.
Yeah. Well, and he makes his own music as well. So, so it's like, it's and like, it's funny because there's so many times where it could have happened. We could have like phoned it in, forced it to happen. Yeah. But then it happened at the moment where I think he had the correct perspective. He had the correct amount of time from the things, like we're releasing the first single with him 8 years from the day he got arrested on the day.
Crazy.
We're doing it on the anniversary of the day he got arrested. So.
Yeah. Wild. Well, it sounds dope.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for everyone else to hear it.
I'm excited too.
And, again, so if that's happening, is that going to be like, that's going to be the MG downtime? You're going to go be as busy as possible.
I think we're gonna be on the God's hate model. We're gonna be the weekend warrior.
The weekend warrior model. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the way it is. Like, kind of, we're doing some shows in December. I think it's gonna be like December, January, February, March. Like, while Militarie Gun is doing our next album, we'll take it out on the weekends.
And who was that recorded with, all the RJC stuff, the recent stuff? Was that with
Taylor?
Yeah. Taylor's in RJC now.
Oh, true.
Yeah, he's a writing and performing member of the band.
Sick.
How has that transition gone from him being like more of a producer to?
I mean, it's the same. I mean, that's the thing, is like we have such a, like, I mean, it's just family, like, like I really truly think that, like, and he's like taken in my brother the way, as a family, and so when we're doing the record, it was just like, him writing a song did not seem unnatural. At the time, he wasn't in the band, but it was like, oh, also I have ideas too. And then it's like, and I was like, oh, you should definitely write songs. And then he wrote songs, and then we made them. So
yeah, sick.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, he can do that. He's good at writing songs.
He's great at writing songs. It's so funny because there's like, I remember when he first wrote the songs, I was like, these are so different. And then now when I listen to the record, I'm like, I can't tell who wrote what.
No, it sounds it sounds very together.
Yeah, it does. But you have like your own perceived things. You're like, that's not that's not something we do.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, that's stupid. You should do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think, but that also is really hard to, I mean, you've probably had this a lot as well, given that like you predominantly write a lot of like everything for the stuff that you do, I suppose. Is that like, it can be really hard to relinquish control of something when you've been doing everything the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, booking's obviously one thing, but then when you're doing the creative element and then you're getting other people involved with it, I know it was always the hardest thing for me, like in old bands writing everything and then someone would contribute an idea and everyone else would be like, that's sick. And I'd be there like, I don't know if it's sick.
Well, that's when you have to figure out, do you like something because you wrote it or do you like something because it's good? And it's really important to figure out the difference between those two things. And being precious is like definitely does not help. But that's why with Militarie Gun, at the very least, like it's meant to be like very in the moment. And I work with this guy, Phil Odom, a lot, and he will be like, you should do this instead. And like, even though I came up with that idea right in that moment, I had to be like, okay, wait. I like what I did, but maybe that could be better. You know, like step outside of yourself that slightest bit to try to like,
having
not be precious.
Someone else to bounce off, I think, is like, I recently filmed a sketch and I'm trying to do that stuff more. And I was like, I would like to find a guy to film it for me so I don't have to like set it up and
do all this stuff.
And he, you know, went to film school. I didn't do that. So I was like, oh, someone who went to film school had a really good idea on the day. Great. Like, that's what I needed. And it ended up being the take that I used of this particular performance. And just, I in the moment, I did have this slight, but that's not how I wrote it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing too is like, it's also looking at the project as a whole. So like, if you have a vision for something, but then you can see when you try and look beyond where it is right in that minute.
Yeah.
Like that's an important skill to kind of develop as well. That like, well, my idea might be the sickest thing that I thought of 6 months ago when I came up with this, but I got to think about this beyond today as well.
And it's like, that's not an idea I would have had. And you're like, it might be better. Like that. Like that just might be the case sometimes. Like, you wouldn't have thought of that because you don't think of that great of ideas sometimes.
Sometimes your idea is bad.
Sometimes your ideas fucking suck.
With the trajectory of Militarie Gun in terms of like getting to where you are now, it seems like Taylor was pretty
it's essential.
Like really giving you a hard time when the songs didn't quite fit. Stuff like that, or
he would give me a hard time all the time. You know, like
that's very on brand.
Is that your experience, Aaron?
No, I mean my experience with him was more like,
well, you're making a style of music that he enjoys.
Yeah, he likes. That's a distinct difference.
Yeah,
he's like the whole time we were doing the record together. He was just like, we would then go inside, listen to the records that I was ripping off, and he would be pacing around his house as he is wont to do, just telling me about everything that happened to him when he was 14 when he was listening to that record. And then Carl would be like, oh, you know, can we get dinner or something? And we'd be like 3 hours into like a deep dive on one bit of one Crowbar song, and I'd just be so drunk, like, this bit, you don't get it. Anyway, that's
my
that's
experience would be like, I remember showing him like a song like Big Disappointment, which is like one of the bigger Militarie Gun songs. And he's like, I just don't feel like doing like a pop punk song is like what people like about this band. You know, and you're like, I don't necessarily think it's a fucking pop punk song, dude. Like, but what's good about that relationship in the idea of someone who doesn't necessarily get your reference point, right? Because I could be like, no, this is like Husker Du. This is like, you know, like, you could try to justify it, right? But if there's someone who's wholesale doesn't buy into any of it, you have to either go, does it suck? Or am I confident enough in it to stick to my guns? And so, I mean, there's like we tell the story all the time, like this song Very High, which is one of our biggest songs. Taylor said it sucked in its original incarnation because it did suck. And we also knew that. And I knew that from the first demo that there was something really special in it, but we didn't know how to make it. And through his criticism, which was to say, scrap the song altogether. Luckily we didn't do. Through that, his doubt in it made me go, well, there's doubt in me as well as to what is in this song. We both doubted something. But what do I need? Because I know there's something inside of it. What is it that will make it the song that I think it is?
Yeah.
That then I can feel confident enough to say to Taylor, fuck off.
Yeah. We're doing it.
We're doing the song.
Yeah.
We didn't have that the first time we tried to record it with Taylor. The second time we did. And so
What was the change?
tempo was a huge part of it.
Okay.
We recorded it too fast. We were not doing to click before. There was like a staccato bass part, which I still could see it as a thing. I don't know. It just was, yeah, there's a lot of elements wrong.
Ian's version. Very high Ian's version.
We have Ian's version. Okay?
Is that ever going to see the light of day?
Yeah, Taylor's version is the one that you should be saying. That's the version that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Sorry.
But no, yeah. So I mean that he was essential in just like, yeah, he offset a lot of things that maybe were the worst tendencies of mine, and then I offset his non-commercial tendencies.
There's something nice about sitting on something for a while, I think, as well. Like, I think I've definitely had jokes that I listened back to early sets when I was not a very good comedian. And I mean, some would say that. But
I haven't seen any of the clips, so I don't know.
But I go, I think I could make that joke work now because I have more experience. And it's like, this thing happened 10 years later that actually, is a funny line at the end. Like, I had this line from a show where the singer of one of the bands said, like, if I wasn't doing this, I'd be out there shooting people. And I had this joke about Muay Thai, and like 10 years later, I was like, that goes on the end of that bit. And it made it work. And it's like a joke I've been doing forever now.
There you go.
And it's just funny how like it just like something unlocks it. I don't know why.
Well, I was just having the conversation like last night where it was, like you have to learn to proofread. And so in your, like, had Militarie Gun existed in a time when the world was normal, that proofreading process would not have existed. I would not have ever sat on material because I would have instantly recorded it, instantly put it out for people to consume so that I could play shows. And instead I ended up like with this system of like over curation and then cutting down and proofreading. And that's where we're at now. We have like 30 songs and that are unreleased. Yeah. And because of that, we get to only release the good ones. And then most of those songs have been around for 2 years. And there's been many songs that have not existed throughout the 2 years. They're dead to me. Yeah. And so it's like if a song has existed for the 2 years between, and we'll go another year and a half, 2 years till we can release them, then they're worth releasing. It's like instead of it having to be like, put it out, instantly write it, instantly put it out.
The feeling of playing those songs live, a bit like, well, now I got to keep playing this song that we've sat on for that time.
Well, no, because we're not rehearsing them. They're just like demos. It's
You're
really
not sick of them.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point now where I've been listening to the new album demos for quite some time, and so we're still 6 months from recording. So I'm like, I just really want to write a lot more songs and then
start whittling down or whatever. Yeah,
which is already where we're at. We already have too many songs. But you're like, it has to be worth wanting to hear for 2 years. If I don't want to hear it for 2 years, why would I put out forever?
Yeah. And I mean, are you gonna have to do like a hard stop on playing shows to get it done?
No, we plan. Our lives are planned years in advance. No, we're gonna do it in January, the month where no one tours.
Yep. Well, and then you'll just get straight back into playing shows. So aside from doing some of these side shows here, also playing big shows here.
Yeah.
With Hockey Dad.
Margaret Court Arena tomorrow.
Yeah, Margaret Court Arena tomorrow. With that, like, obviously bands started out playing much smaller shows.
Yeah.
Now you've also played like a shit ton of fucking enormous festivals and things like that. What was it like going from doing the tiny little things that I suppose are more like playing hardcore shows.
Yeah.
To
Well,
then
yeah,
the
there's
big
hardcore
shift.
shows, yeah.
You know.
I'm trying to think of what it was a weird thing for us because I mean one of our first shows, our first weekend of shows was with Fiddlehead.
Yeah, right. So those are pretty
And
big.
so those were pretty, those were like, 400, 500 people. The LA show was like 1,100 people.
Yeah, wow.
And so that was like, my anxieties as far as performance has gotten a lot. Now I just literally go, I don't think about it until we're on stage.
Yeah.
That's it. I just don't think about it. Like, so pre-show anxiety is very minimal these days. But yeah, I mean, like just having to learn about monitors and like it's so important for singing.
Well, and I mean, I think the other thing too is like something that you guys have become very good at, I think, is like the online presence of the band as well. But that also is
a lot of work necessary there.
I mean,
We need to get better.
we were talking about TikToks before. It's a real art.
I got two good ones in 2 days, and I feel like I'm on cloud 9 right now.
I got a good TikTok maybe 3 years ago. I'm still
Still riding the high. But like, I think another big thing though too is like when you're playing those bigger shows, particularly playing the festivals and stuff, like you got to be thinking about performance stuff. It's not just
you think
how
about-
you sing.
How do you bring in someone that legitimately does not know you? Because you're playing to thousands of people who do not know you in that moment. And that's been like trying to work up on that showmanship and the things you say between songs. Like I kind of I like step in it and go, I love comedy. So my big thing is I'll start firing from the hip. Like we played Primavera in Portugal and we were on the main stage before SZA.
shit.
And so the front of the audience was entirely SZA fans just waiting to watch SZA. And so, for me, I'm like, well, I'm going to use this.
Yeah.
And
You
so
got it.
I'm start laying into SZA fans. I start making fun of the SZA fans, not making fun, but, like poking at it and being like, I know that you hate us. You do not like this style of music. We're going to play for 3 more hours, just like, and I don't know. I think I turn people off a lot of the time because I also will turn like pretty antiseptic and rude pretty fast when it does not go my way. Where I'm like, fuck you guys.
Get nasty.
Yeah.
It worked the other night. It seemed like the crowd. I mean, Tuesday night show always up against it, but it was like the vibe was pretty good by the midway through. It was like, what people have seen online and stuff. Like, it took people a little bit to get into it, but I felt you really brought people in.
I was
You're
trying.
Like, come and get up here. Get into
I
it.
was trying. I mean, also it's really funny telling the story about my mom stealing my car and then just kind of like it didn't get that many laughs, and so it's like I'm like, oh, it's kind of
Everybody's
kind of my A
stealing
material
cars.
there. So I don't know what are you guys doing here?
So let's rehash this story.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I play in the band Extortion.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a full circle moment.
This is amazing. Yeah.
Well, I think when we first met, Taylor was like, "Oh, this is Aaron. He's in Extortion."
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, I love Extortion."
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I do love
It
Extortion.
was a good way to meet somebody.
So yeah, Extortion. I think was it only the one US trip that they did pre you
did.
being in the band?
They did 2009 and 2011.
So this would have been 2009. I was in high school. I was considered a runaway.
Okay.
I was a very turbulent home life, but I had bought my own car. I had
So
bought
that
my
you
own
had
car.
one
but
consistent thing.
In
What was the car?
it was a Honda Civic,
Nice.
Classic.
little go kart of a thing, and it cost $2,000. And I told my parents I was moving out, but they didn't agree.
Hence the runaway.
And since technically being a runaway.
Yeah.
And so I continued to go to high school throughout being a runaway. That's the type of runaway I was.
Run away with the schedule.
Runaway with schedule, yeah. Very easy to find. And so I, drove myself to school that morning and was supposed to see Extortion
Yep.
that night. I was going to leave school, drive to Olympia, Washington, where they played believe old school pizzeria, and walk out of the school, and my car is not there. Just not existent anymore. I said, I definitely parked right there. There's a space where my car used to be. And I'm from a small town. Car theft is not common. It is not. It's not like a normal thing where, like, yeah, someone's car got stolen here the other day. It's like, no one's car has been stolen here ever. So I call my mom. I know who took my fucking car. I know who took my car, and call my mom. Which important part of the story? Alcoholic, very crazy at that time. She goes, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. What the fuck? She's like angry at me that I'm calling her and accusing her of stealing my car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's doing a pretty good job of acting. Maybe she didn't steal my car. And then I walked the town for the duration of the day, just like looking for my car as if someone would just like have reparked it somewhere else. And 2 weeks went by. So the extortion show comes and goes. I'm like, well, never see extortion. They're from Australia.
Yep.
Never going to happen. Still haven't seen them to this day. And then 2 weeks later, she's like, all right, you can have your car back. I was like, God damn it. But yeah, she stole my car. My mom stole my car and then lied about it for 2 weeks. So I just thought that my car was just
vanished.
done. I was like, well, it's crazy to lie about it for this long. So clearly it must be gone.
And how many more days are you here for? Maybe get this extortion thing happening.
I feel like you just
we'll
come on middle of the set, Margaret Court tomorrow.
Man, Hockey Dad fans in for a rude 9 seconds.
If you thought Militarie Gun was heavy.
Check out this bullshit.
Yeah.
So how did you go over at the? I mean, you've only played one of the Hockey Dad
We've only
shows.
played one Hockey Dad show so far.
Although you've been here for over a week.
Yeah. I thought their audience was incredible.
Yeah.
One, Hockey Dad is really good. I really enjoyed. Like, we were in the airport and a Hockey Dad song came on the radio, and we are like, dude,
Wild.
what the hell? Like, it's cool to come to a country and then be like, this is the band we're on tour with. But I mean, their fans are a lot younger, which is cool.
Yeah.
Being at our show, observing much older.
Oh yes.
So we're like, I'm very excited for the next Melbourne show where
Yeah, it'll probably be a completely different crowd.
maybe a couple of young people show
Well,
up.
Tuesday I did think great night for other 35-year-old guys like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was truly a, and it was a real. I mean, the other thing too that worked out well with the show on Tuesday was that it ended pretty early.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, very good to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah. Not me. I was.
No, you had a great time.
Lit.
You had to get clawed away from people to get taken home.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yep.
I get talkative.
But so the show in Brisbane though, it was like it felt good.
It felt great. Yeah. We got them jumping up and down and having a good time. And it's one of those things, like we were talking about, where you have to just like be a
come up with
showman.
something.
You have to be a showman. Like, you have to be like, how do I gain your attention? And you can feel when you don't fully have it.
Yeah.
And what I did learn is Australians love to speak between songs.
Oh,
is that
yeah.
something you guys do over here?
Like the audience? Or, yeah, big time.
Big. I've never experienced the amount of talking. The like low level hum of the talking of the room was crazy.
My experience with that is like, it's very easy for me, I feel like at hardcore shows particularly, like to talk in between songs here because there's just muttering happening the whole time. So regardless, like...
See, for me, I'm like, I want the captive audience. It's hard.
So where my thing though is that like if something falls flat, you don't really feel like you fall on that flat because some cunts
Oh, because
chatting anyway.
everything's falling flat, you mean?
Then when in the States... people are really paying attention up there. And so everything I said, I felt like I really had to mean it. So even in times where I'm like half tuning and sort of like looking at something and just muttering something, people were like...
Well, you have an accent, so I feel like it works out over there. Like in America, you could just have an accent.
It was fun. And then I was hooting and hollering a little bit too.
I feel like that is a real example of Australia's respect for the arts. We're just talking through it.
Yeah. There was one guy who was heckling. And I
really?
shut him the fuck up, which I was like very excited about.
What was he saying?
He went, "Oh yeah," after everything I said, and I was like, oh, you think you're fucking cute over there? I was like, it's hard for me to not go full because then like I'm not a tough guy by any means, but I'm more than willing to get my ass beat in most situations.
For the point you're trying to make.
Yeah. I'll make you beat me up, you know, like if we have to do it. And so I was like, oh, you think you're cute over here? You know, and then so I was like, and then he shut up. So I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
It worked out.
Funny how instantly pointing someone out makes them shut up.
Oh, yeah.
But it's funny because they want attention. So it's like it could easily go the opposite way. Because clearly
You get
he was
yourself
attention starved.
Ian destroys heckler moment. That'd be great for the socials.
If you want to get attention, you have to, you know, work for many years being broke and sleeping on floors.
You didn't slave away at this like I did. I feel like I had like no one in this, you know, in America the other week really give me too much grief, which was nice, except for one person when I just had to fill so much time, and a couple people then I think started feeling bad and were like, we got to say something back so he at least has. So I was actually very thankful that they were chirping up because I was like, well now I got something to go in on.
It is nice when someone lobs something at you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like when it's something to zero in on and you can like then kind of roast.
Yeah.
Great. That's fun.
Yeah.
But when it's just like the general chatter is hard to like be like, oh, you're just not like you're just saying what I'm doing right here is not that important. I don't know how to interact with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm a self-important American.
Yeah. I think a big thing that I've noticed from going to more stand-up shows with you is that there's certainly, I mean, not that my sample size is very small, but like there's definitely a pretty consistent thing here where people will be at those stand-up shows and just be chatting.
Yeah. It's
and I mean, I've seen you quite a few times be like, hey man, like I'm talking.
Yeah.
Like, why'd you come?
I think people just don't understand, like people are so disconnected to the live experience now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think people find it hard to go like, oh, that's actually a person there who can respond to me and things like that.
Well, I mean, I think it probably, not that like this is something everyone's talked about, but like people are fucking animals in a movie theater now. Like they're just a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then those same people seem to translate that to like a live thing where it's like, but then the thing can talk back at you.
Yeah.
Like,
well, having to like run comedy shows and stuff as well and having to tell people up the back like, hey, like you got to be quiet. And people are so offended like because they feel like they're in trouble. And I mean, they are in a sense, but it's just like, hey, like this is a performance. And I guess, like you said, the heckling thing is easy to deal with for a performer, but the general chatter is just like very disrespectful.
Ambient noise just outdoing you is like, oh, okay. The room is more important.
I'm glad to hear that you got the Hockey Dad crowd into it because I think I didn't know much about Hockey Dad, but I was definitely aware of them and they're a big like younger audience. Like Triple J is our big youth broadcaster here, and it seems like those kids are just like, well, if you've got a band that's got a big performance and they'll get into it, and it seems like, well, if you got up there and just expected them to do that, you might not have got the same reaction. So
well, and it was like just like. Well, and I view it as our job to like actually warm the if Hockey Dad wants people jumping up and down having a good time, it's like, well, our job is to like get them there. You know, it's like same way with a comedy show where you're just trying to like pave the way towards what needs to happen in the room. Like we're trying to curate the vibe, and when bands are opening for us or we're opening for a band, we want it to be a through line. Like that's why we don't take a tour where it doesn't make sense, where it's like, oh no, they don't want that energy in that room, so we're not going to go.
I think
we're not going to go there.
Yeah. I think the fun thing about, so I filled in for this band Geld that played the show the other night. I think something that was really fun about doing that show that was like how distinctly different all three bands were.
Yeah.
And before the show, I was like, I'm interested to see how this goes.
I loved it.
I loved it too. The first band was like very Human Noise. What they were called. They were very chill.
Yeah.
Very quiet. And when that was happening, I was like, oh boy, some of the people are going to get real weirded out by when Geld gets up there and I've got this noisy pedal happening and shit.
Yeah. They're like, I don't know what they're going to think of feedback.
But we had some people moshing. We got it moving around a little bit.
You had
you played about 20. You finished 20 minutes early.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you had a 40-minute. I looked behind the sound desk, 40-minute set time. I was like,
wait, that's Mark's fault. for letting that stand on the schedule.
I said when Geld sent me the run sheet, I was like, we don't have. I was like, hold on, I got to learn double this.
Yeah.
Like, I got to learn the entire set again. And they were like, oh no, we're only playing for 20 minutes. And I was like, okay. And then at the show, I was like, so we're going to play 20 minutes like later, or what's going to happen? And then I was like, I'm just going to get another drink. I was sort of waiting. And then I looked up and they were all up there. And I was like, I'm filling in. I can't be like standing back here just like
blowing it on the first show.
But anyway, I thought
it worked great.
I thought it worked great.
You had
too.
something I haven't seen for a while is like well-dressed guy moshing.
Oh yeah,
which was like the
he had slacks on,
like thinking man's hardcore moshing. That's what you had.
Yeah,
thinking man's hardcore is a very international term. I remember playing a show with the Flex a long time ago, and they referred to the band I played in, Seattle's New Gods, as thinking man's hardcore, and I was like, nice.
Well,
shit.
You know,
very
Life is
intellectual
War in that kind of, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, not say that. I don't want to be compared to that.
One quick roast. All right, so things coming up. RJC
Yep.
show.
RJC show, RJC record, Freedom Sweet Freedom.
Dope. MG recording.
Well, we is a Militarie Gun song being released the 17th of July.
Okay.
It's called I Thought You Were Waving. We've been playing it live.
Yep.
Very proud of the song. Just dropping a Lucy single. Just
And you released another little song the other day.
Yeah, we released the song the other day. Yeah,
Posty.
with not with Post Malone, but for Post Malone. for Post Malone. I wish it was with. With would get quite a big boost.
TikTok would be going crazy.
Yeah, no, trust me.
Is that why you're on this gaming podcast?
That's I'm gonna bring it up. Bring it up. My angle is we do song video game.
At some point in our podcast, we always do admin, and for another podcast episode.
Yeah, we're helping this guy.
Yeah. We just dropped it was funny. We just dropped a song called "Gun Under the Gun," military fucking gun. And it was that. Yeah, I got a text being like, "I need a wrestling intro."
That's sick.
He just procrastinated so long that he wanted to do it, and then it was like, shit, I forgot. And so I get the text.
Yeah, nice.
And so that was cool. Just on that morning, I was like 9 a.m.
Garageband?
Garageband through and through. Full Garageband production on that one. Fully released it on streaming platforms, which is fun. That actually is a through line of something I've been trying to do for a long time, which is that I'd make all these demos in GarageBand.
Yeah.
I did a band with Patrick Kinlan from Drug Church called Sex with a Terrorist, aka SWAT. And it was all made on GarageBand on my iPhone. Like that was the...
No physical hardware, just touchscreen only.
Yeah, it was just, this is the mic and
really?
the interface. Yeah.
How did you plug in?
Didn't.
Oh, sick.
No, here, wait. I'm gonna just show you. Like, I'll show you the interface, and you can cut this down. But
No, this is all good. We're keeping all this in.
this is my favorite thing.
Because I use it on the desktop version. Like
See, I'm completely like computer illiterate.
You're a young person, right?
I'm like, it doesn't.
How old are you?
32.
Okay, so you're not that young.
Yeah, exactly. Wait,
All right.
cut that. Beep that.
But then we were talking about this the other day. How there's like a window right now where you can be very computer savvy if you're in like this age bracket.
Yeah.
If you're above it, you can't, and if you're below it, you can't either.
Yeah.
So
I just don't have like I just make messes.
okay.
You know, like that's just the process is making a mess. And yeah, so the entire band, this is how I make all my demos is just like, that's what the session looks like.
You're in there, brother.
Yeah. And that's just literally no click.
That rocks.
Are we getting an exclusive here?
Yeah, that's new. That's new SWAT, but
That's sick as hell.
so yeah, that's how I do it. And so anyway, it was funny because I saw people being like, oh, not the fucking GarageBand drums. And I'm like, shut up, bitch.
Yeah.
This is what accessibility is. And I want to show accessibility.
Yeah.
Like, all you need is this to make the song that I just played.
Yeah.
Big time.
Like, that's cool. That's punk. That's
is.
actually punk.
It's like removing all the barriers.
Like doing like, yeah, you can go buy a 4-track. You do whatever, all that shit like that. Everyone could jerk off the tape. This is punk. Like, just you have this in your pocket and it's a tool. Just do it. Like,
I think like honestly, getting the way GarageBand has like developed into what it is now has made my life so easy for particularly doing a band where I started out doing everything for it.
yeah.
And like going and doing the record with Taylor, like sending him the whole record and then just saying to him, like, I really can't be fucked playing drums on it. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, Colin will do it. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I'll ask him. And I just texted Colin. He was like, yeah, I'll do it. Just send me the thing. And then going there, 2 days before to practice with him. And he was like, it's all on a click. It's just beats. And then he was like, I wrote a couple parts. And then doing the recording with him was literally, I was just like a conductor in the room being like, now it changes. And he was like, oh, okay. Like,
That's if you pre-produce a song, then you can really get it done pretty quick.
yeah. Thank you, GarageBand, if you want to.
well, it does show you that
I would
you
love
don't-
some money from them. I'm kind
gotta
of
sponsor the
shilling for
show.
some time, but nothing in
We can
return.
people that out. Man.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. You got to go do a gaming podcast. Anything else you want to plug while you're in Australia?
Just Thought You Were Waving is going to be out July 17th. Listen to it.
Are you doing any pods at the moment?
I have a podcast I'm working on, trying to start up, but it's so elaborate that it's a burden.
Because I just remembered when you said Pat before. You used to do a pod with him, right?
Yeah. I used to do a podcast called I Don't Care If This Ruins My Life. Did I play Fortnite with you?
No.
I played Fortnite with some Australians.
Well,
that
Pat's
one-
pretty Australian connected.
Well, not at the time. Not
He
at the
lives
time.
here now, right?
He kicked out of the country currently.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, last time he left, they told him as he left, you can't come back.
Ever.
It's like a visa issue. So he got married.
Probably shouldn't get into it. Yeah.
You have a lot of border agents listening to this? The Snitch
got
podcast.
official.
Yeah, damn.
Our other sponsor is Australian Border Force.
And ICE.
Yeah.
The two heavy hitters.
But yeah, so I used to do a podcast with Pat. But I'm trying to do this new thing that is more elaborate. I want to talk to. I hate the kind of like nature of most podcasts I end up doing. Like in the States are just like, how'd you get into punk?
Yeah.
You know, like I really.
Doing history shit or whatever.
Yeah, and I really, it's going to be called Why Can't You Be Normal? And it's going to be about like, why don't you have a day job? Why do you have to do this? Like, because at the end of the day, like there's no way to make a actual like respectable living in music.
Yeah.
You could go through booms and busts. But at this point in art in general, even if it is filmmaking, comedy, unless you get to the highest level, which I think so few people will ever be granted access to at this point, none of us are ever going to be able to retire. We're never going to be like, this is like, you're resigned to this forever in like a jobbing aspect, which also means you're going to be washed up. You're going to be not cool. You're going to like, and why do you need this so bad that you're willing to have kind of this,
forego everything else. Just to do
forego any human comfort for the rest of your life, potentially.
As someone who just quit their full-time job, I don't have many thoughts about that.
Trust me, I haven't had like a normal job in a couple years, but it's not in a. I can't stop touring. I like when they say you have to cancel the tour, I have to go. Well, then I don't have any. Then I have to. Then I'm just done. Like, what do you mean? Like
Back on GarageBand on the phone.
yeah. So trying to do that. I was gonna start it like literally the day I got home from this, but it's kind of too elaborate to get into.
Do you want to book in time here tomorrow?
Yeah. Hopefully have some really famous guests.
Yeah, in the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
Solo, anything to plug?
Yeah, I think
You got dates?
maybe we put this up Wednesday next week.
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow I'm going to be at Brisbane Good Chat Comedy doing my hour show, and hopefully I've messaged enough people that it's still going ahead. Really dropped the ball on the promo. The promoters emailing me. Sorry, Pete James. This is promo, so you can see that I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
And then Newcastle.
Yeah.
That's the clip. Newcastle Comedy Club, July 6th, 26th, and then 27th at Factory Theatre in Sydney. And then I go to Edinburgh Fringe Festival for the month.
Dope.
So see
Be
you
cool.
there. Yeah, looking forward to it. Got our posters back for our other show that we're doing there. Three's Comedy, they're called. We're doing 3 of those a day, plus my solo. So
That's sucker.
Wait, Edinburgh Fringe Festival was in Baby Reindeer, right?
yeah, that's the
one.
That's
That's the one that Hannibal Buress did the documentary at.
Yeah. I've actually never seen that Hannibal Buress.
It's great.
Someone said to me it was taken off whatever, but apparently it's on YouTube.
It
I
used
gotta
to be on
watch it.
Netflix, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre fest in a great way. It's an insane festival.
Don't get Baby Reindeer.
Well, I mean, we got that Netflix show.
Might be a good line.
You know, why can't you be normal? You know.
Yeah. He made it very clear as to why.
Yeah. Aaron, Aglo, Extortion.
Yeah. Aglo's playing, when this comes out, the 2 days later, we'll be playing at the Cold Day Festival in Brisbane, and then Sunshine Coast the next day. Then same day in Sydney that you're playing with I Hate God, which will be great. And then playing Newcastle as well on the 2nd of August with Phantoms. And then Canberra the next day. First time playing with my solo band in the place I'm from, which would be cool.
Sick as hell.
Yep, sick as. And then other shit later. Who knows? Maybe Extortion's playing with Hockey Dad tomorrow for 9 seconds.
Let's go.
All right. Thanks for doing the pod, Ian.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Ian.
Bye.
Bye.